Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, what a great match that we get to see here, because, like it's been mentioned, the Washington Justice, I mean, it's been shown that they can bleed somewhat. They look very, very solid, but their opponents, the Florida Mayhem, looked pretty average against a San Francisco Shock team who's already been doomed straight out of the May Melee Qualifiers match. So this is probably the toughest one to call, maybe one of the tougher matches we've had so far to call.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we're really going to find out in this series how strong the Justice are. I believe they're a very strong team. I also think that the Mayhem rank pretty high up there. But we now get to see this Justice team go up against one of the other top teams, here in the Western region. I think what Johnny said, though, is a pretty good point, where both of these teams don't really want to play like those Reinhardt-based competitions, so we won't really see them get tested on that. We can take a look at the Florida Mayhem starters. Nothing surprising here. It's the consistent 6 that we always see. I think Slime and Gangnam Jin are primed for a big series. With how aggressive the Justice play, it's going to put a lot of pressure on those two, but Slime and Gangnam Jin is so proven throughout the Overwatch League.
And here, look below them as well, your power rankings with IBM Watson. I mean, Gangnam Jin right up there, right? I think he was 4th last week, maybe. I mean, he's sitting in that top 5. And OG's also been looking really good. What I find so interesting is that OG is the part of this team that people sometimes press on and say, well, this could be a weakness. This could be an instability here, but he's ranked 8th, and he looks really good on a composition this team loves to play, which involves that wrecking ball.
I think the question with OG has never been a question of talent, right? It's just been, can you get him to play coordinated with the rest of the team? And with the Florida Mayhem thus far, you've seen them channel that.
BQB looks incredibly survivable right now as well, so we'll have to see if Decay can pressure him out properly. Here, of course, is your Washington Justice. It will be Decay and Assassin starting at DPS. And, of course, Mag already getting hyped up by a lot of people. Basically gets player of the match in a lot of the series that he ends up in. He's ranked 7th, so he's just pipped OG at the post in terms of tank performances here, but the rest of this team is star-studded. Bebe's looked incredible. I feel like he was kind of stuck in the corner at times on the Hangzhou team there. And we didn't get to see maybe quite as much of him if he slept at normal hours last year, but he looks right at home on this roster, and he and Closer are developing this synergy out of a seemingly nowhere.
Yeah, a lot of people in the scene were pretty high on Bebe and Closer coming in. If you're just like a casual Overwatch League viewer and you've watched them play over the years, you wouldn't really feel that way from what we've seen with them on other teams. But obviously the coaches, the GMs, the players, the people who try these players out know the best. So Oasis will be the first map in this series. I'm really excited for the Yaki versus Decay Tracer matchup.
Absolutely. I think, we do see a little bit of the Tracer matchup that sort of happens on some maps. We saw it a ton, I think, yesterday on Dorado, for example. That was in the Paris Eternal matchup. However, if these two teams try and play Ashe compositions, then you actually get an Ashe versus Tracer matchup more often than just the Tracer v Tracer, right? And that's what we sort of said, that BKB was so good at just staving off Tracers, right? He had like lowest deaths per 10 minutes on Ashe, I think, in a meta, in a season where it was a lot of the time like Tracers trying to dive on Ashes and then having to coach kind of away, or sometimes just shoot them at point blank. Only one of these teams, Matt, is going to the May Melee right now, and the Washington Justice have paved the way well, but the Mayhem are always a wild card. They are always a chaotic factor, and they're always ready to rumble. We're going to kick off here on Oasis.
These teams, when you look across the rosters, so evenly matched. Gargoyle, don't talk a lot about him, but a fantastic off-tank player for the Florida Mayhem. And I really think this series may come down to, Yaki versus Decay and what happens with the Justice supports.
Again, you sort of said Slime and Gangnam Jin are positioned to have a huge match, so keep an eye on that one, ladies and gentlemen, as these teams come out the gates with somewhat similar compositions. It will be Assassin on the Sombra, though. An interesting look, of course. Jerry not in the lineup here for the Justice, so maybe not expected to see Hitscan presence here. And early on, it's the Justice that take the high ground perch.
Yeah, and this is a composition that a lot of people have been talking about, but more with like the Moira and the Lucio in the mix, like a really aggressive style of play. But it's going to put a ton of pressure on BQB. Like you mentioned, great at dealing with the Tracer. Now he's going to have the Tracer in the Sombra around him.
Eventually, the Justice need to do something about this. Right now, Yaki is just keeping Decay at arm's length for the time being. But BQB's gone down. Looks like he might have tried to challenge the high ground to some degree, but look at all the Justice. They must have just plunged down on top of the McCree and dealt with him. Still, they're not out of the woods yet, though. No one's captured the point quite yet, and OG has to jump away. That means Gargoyle is left on his own. OG just hung him out to dry. He had to get away, and as soon as he returns, he's hit with a fat biotic grenade.
Oh, at the start, it didn't look like it was going to go great for the Justice. You know, Mag was taking some shots up on the high ground, but as soon as they got aggressive with the dive, just picked apart the Florida Mayhem. And the Justice getting control of the point first here is huge. It's so difficult to flip this point back.
You're watching OG pull the plug there. I mean, maybe he had to do that. He was low on health, but that's just a sign of the pressure that the Justice are putting on the individual targets here. I mean, as soon as OG peeked out, Gargoyle was like, well, I don't have a personal bubble left, and I will now succumb to all this damage. So the Washington Justice, they build a nano boost, as do the Mayhem, so expect to see some electrified Winstons in this next fight. The rally for closer may be a factor if we get a fight fairly soon, but the Justice don't want to fight all that quickly if they can help it. They'll chill up here on the high ground. It's a Deadeye from BQB. His angle's not great from that low ground, and there it is. Mag goes in with the nano boost. I don't know how he's going to deal with BQB. He gets nanoed as well. Decay just got his headshot off, but Mag somehow finds two with the landing. The Primal Rage comes out right after it, but the jump pack damage was already done. And again, this guy is living up to his name. Talk about Mag Lev. He barely touched the ground.
Well, for a second, I thought they were going to actually nano OG and send him to the high ground, and then maybe, you know, have like the Deadeye. You could use the Primal, knock some players down, maybe into the line of sight. But they decide to actually nano BQB after the dive comes in, because you had Mag there, Decay. He's able to deal with one. He gets the headshot on the Decay, but a really nice grab there from Fury. The Primal Rage from Mag is beautiful. The Justice are rolling here early.
A jump pack damage when you land is non-negligible, especially when you're nano boosted. So Mag, pleased with that one, but there's no nano or primal for this fight, so focus shifts away from the Winston's presence, and now that EMP connects well, Gargoyle in trouble! He goes down. Both Slime and Gangnam Jimmy hit with that as well, so no chance for a biotic grenade or any sort of burst healing whatsoever. And OG, he's completely out of position. You kind of hinted this earlier, Matt. How do they get OG in step with the rest of the team? It looks like there's a little bit of discombobulation here for the Florida Mayhem. Mag eventually goes down, and Yaki, a speculative pulse bomb that he almost lands on himself. He tried to hatch his own egg by the looks of things. And the Washington Justice look to take this first round awfully comfortably. There'll be some stall attempts here as Fury does get woken up with very small amount of damage because Gargoyle wasn't charged up at all. And Decay will now harass. Gangnam has no time to worry about the rest of his team. It's Decay that's bearing down upon him, and he just appears in his field of view like a bolt out the blue. And that'll be the job done now. With a Graviton Surge and no one to follow it up here, Slime tries to move forward. He's hit with a biotic grenade, stunned, whip shot immediately. Yaki tries to come up, but no. Try as they might, the Mayhem cannot hold the Justice back.
As that is, like you mentioned, you know, maybe trying to get OG on the same page for the rest of the team, that's not even the situation here. I mean, that was just a dominant performance from the Justice. It's a big EMP from Assassin, connects with Slime, so you didn't have an opportunity to engage with the rally there at the end, which probably would have been your best chance. So we'll see what the Florida Mayhem decide to go with here. This would be interesting if they come out with that Reinhardt-based composition like the desk was talking about. Neither of these teams really love to play the Reinhardt-based compositions.
So why play it here?
Zarya. Maybe they feel like they can force an advantage here. If they can't win in the double bubble matchup, maybe they feel this is a little bit better against the Sombra. They can kind of run down the Zarya and the supports.
Opting out of the double bubble early is the Florida Mayhem. Looking anywhere they can to find an advantage, and they look to the composition in this second round to find it. High ground will be taken here. Obviously, it's nice to have Lucio sometimes. You feel extremely glacial trying to get out of spawn without him. OG, look at the back line, but he's really just creating a bit of space here, getting in between the supports and the front line, and that seems to have worked. The May wall does the trick, and Fury is isolated from the rest of his team. OG will also force Mag away. The one kill will be enough, though.
What I will find very interesting is, you know, do we see the Justice switch and try and mirror? We haven't really seen them do that a ton throughout the stage, which, you know, they haven't really
No one's been able to force it, right?
Right, nobody's been able to force it. So BQB is so good, whether it's on Ash or McCree, dealing with these tracers, it's unreal. But, you know, getting that headshot now, it buys you a ton of time. You see that the Mayhem trying to run somebody down. Beautiful May wall.
I mean, that's the problem here for the Justice. If their composition loses a player early, they're probably going to get run down if they hang around anywhere within line of sight. Florida Mayhem get a bunch of extra ult percentage there. And they have a high ground amplification matrix now.
And you might be able to, if you're the Justice, just play for an EMP, you have the Nano here to build up a Primal Rage, win that way. But what happens in the fight after? Because Florida Mayhem, at least thus far, has shown a really nice ability to be able to run you down with these May walls and get a pick.
We could have a Deadeye Amp Matrix, and remember, there's no Diva for the Justice here. They actually don't have a lot outside of breaking line of sight to deal with McCree, especially not with an Immortality Field.
Shatter here, yeah.
Almost gets caught out there. If he gets hacked, that could be game over there for the Mayhem if his shield goes down and they get collapsed on. Although, they're able to avoid it, only just. A little bit of squeaky bum time, if I'm honest, but 64% counts on the clock, and here comes the Nanoed Winston. Gangnam Jin, the first target, Immortality Field gets thrown down, Amp Matrix, Mag goes over the top, he's frozen, shattered! Oh, the stun lock is real, and the look of disgust on his face. He knows that about every crowd control ability in the game just got leveraged right at him. And he comes off looking decidedly worse for wear. Closer eats the charge. OG is hungry. Look at my belly, he says. No, in fact, get inside of it.
So this has been a complete turn of events. The Justice did end up flipping this. You know, at that time, they had Decay, they have Mag, and they have Assassin still here, lingering around the point. So it'll flip back. You just have Assassin and Decay here, lingering around the point for the Justice, trying to contest.
Assassin perched right on the corner here, the diving board now as he descends, looks for an EMP, gets it. Are the rest of the Justice there to capitalize? It looks like they are, but Gangnam Jin wasn't hit with the EMP. Immortality Field was deployed, but it's not enough to keep Yaki and OG alive, and now it's 4 players left for the Mayhem. Regardless, it's overtime, and these were expenses that were guaranteed for the Justice. Can the Mayhem force them to part with any more of them? It doesn't look like it, Matt.
No. So this will be the point flipping to the Justice. Mayhem, no reason to switch off of this. So, but where did the Justice decide to play on D? They have to play so spread out, because if the Mayhem see them, you know, playing in one of these hallways or, you know, in a spot where they can get a Lucio speed boost up with that May wall, they're going to trap somebody, and there's no Immortality Field to be able to save them. So, OG with a Shatter. Even if you get a solo Shatter here, it's worth.
Ana Lucio, closer obviously switching, probably get back to the point in time, but the speed boost now is kind of handy. You can actually play reactively and disengage. But they want to engage, I think, at this point with the Mayhem positioning themselves on the point. OG has an Earth Shatter here, and there it comes down. BKB is going to fall early in the fight, and Mag gets a Primal Rage. It's going to have to be an Ice Block for Yaki, and Mag turns his attention elsewhere for now. Gangnam Jin falls, and OG's in trouble. This is where the Justice start to inch back into control.
Yeah, so the Justice win this next fight. OG ends up using the Shatter, and he's actually able to connect with Bebe, and Closer's not able to save him, but the damage is already done at that time. You have Blizzard plus Deadeye here for the Florida Mayhem, but that's really it, and you got to watch out for this EMP. So Justice have done a really nice job cycling these ultimates now that they've gotten the point. Now, you may have a sound barrier for this fight or the last one for the Justice, and that may decide it.
Assassin might have to go for the EMP here. Immortality Field's so annoying. He thought he had the finish on Gangnam Jin, but it's not the case. He didn't want to use the EMP, but he might have to now, Matt. The Mayhem are in position. Decay is down. Blizzard thrown out. It's going to catch the rest of the Justice, and that EMP just coming a little bit too late in the day. Assassin wasn't in position to make use of it, and Yaki pounces with the Blizzard for 3.
But it all starts off of BQB being able to take out Decay with the Tracer here. Obviously a large source of damage for the Justice, as it'll be Mag. No, Fury gets on here playing the ball to get a touch.
I mean, that wall is pretty nasty, but a sound barrier comes out for the Justice. They do lose Assassin, though, but at least it's traded. Closer sends BQB straight into the drink here and makes it a 5v5. Gangnam Jin had that Immortality Field now, and did he buy enough time? Decay has to definitely blink away from the Earth Shatter that comes in, but OG still have to catch Bebe and co. Gangnam Jin for 3 in that fight. And the Mayhem fight back here. They look damn good if they have switched to Rush.
It's an Amp Matrix there to help him out as well at the end, but you see the ability there when BQB and Gangnam Jin are able to defend themselves against the Decay and Assassin coming in, whether it be on the Sombra or the Tracer. It's a much different match. Now the Justice, they'll play the Reinhardt-based composition, so both teams looking at least this far like it could be the Reinhardt with the Sigma in play. So this will tell you really like poke, want to play from a distance, try and get some angles.
Now the Justice maybe look less comfortable being forced into this kind of composition, but it doesn't mean they have to be, pigeonholed into a certain composition. They can stay with the Symmetra if they'd like to, and they do. The Mayhem don't. It makes sense. BQB's dangerous. I mean, Assassin goes down early. There's your May wall gone, and yet the Mayhem, the ones actually giving up ground here, oddly enough. Decay's now down, and the Justice are still just going ballistic.
Oh, yeah. It's, the Justice, when they're starting to rush here, Mitch, I think you see that they're not as coordinated as the Mayhem in the rush-style compositions. When the game is much more of a dive, free flow, everybody for themselves type of game, that's when you can see, Decay, Assassin, Mag really start to pop off and come to life. At least this far, really early in the series, you've seen when they've had to play. I mean, look, this is another early pick. How many times have we seen BQB or Gang Division start one of these fights off with an early pick-off? You can't have this happen.
I mean, now this fight, the longer it's drawn out, the worse it's going to be for Washington. Assassin, yeah, he gets iced. And it's a dangerous part of the map to play against a flanking McCree map. BQB can just wrap the left side and get some picks. Closer, nicely done, but he'll still be Mayhem in control.
Because this is not the game. Just like how we talked about with the Dallas Fuel, forcing the Shock into things that they don't exactly want to play. You want Fury, very good Sigma, right? But he would love to have him on the D.Va, on the Zarya, Mag, you want him on the Winston, Decay on a Tracer. It forces the Justice off of a lot of the things they want to do.
Gravitic Flux almost online for Fury, and BQB just peering around the corner. Oh, Immortality Fiddle's down, there's an option here. No, BQB surely sees someone behind him. No, Decay's able to get the drop on him, but BQB had already struck gold. Assassin got domed. And the Mayhem still have the numbers here. The Washington Justice really showing some weakness for the first time this season. Okay.
Decay's not close to the Deadeye here. Gravitic Flux will be online for Gargoyle. Sound Barrier for Slime. The Mayhem, with going to these Reinhardt-based comps, looks to completely sweep the last 2 points of Oasis. It would be a huge telling point for them in the rest of the series.
OG Shadow at the ready. Decay got flashed, but he wins against BQB somehow. Here's the Shadow. The May wall gets in the way at just the right time or the wrong, depending on which team you're a fan of. And it's Mag that's able to catch OG pretty comfortably. And in much the same fashion as the previous round, the Justice can get back in the driver's seat here at the 11th hour.
Yeah, you're going to get it to 99, though, if you're the Florida Mayhem, so they have to complete massive comeback here, but that's huge. Decay being able to get that first blood. The last few fights before that, it's the Florida Mayhem starting things off. BQB sitting down right now, but he's been popping off at the beginning of these fights, being able to pick players off. Now if you're Florida, you can play around. You're gonna have Blizzard. You can use the Gravitic Flux to kind of force out a Sound Barrier, drop a Blizzard underneath. There's a ton you can do here if you're the Mayhem. Just all you have to do is flip the point. It's over.
Try and keep an eye on the periphery here, fans, as BQB's lingering towards that left-hand side. And he'll definitely be looking for a pick from the high ground or just an off angle if he can. And this time, actually, he leads. Okay, he's going to push. Oh, my baby! He got triple shot. The third shot didn't even have to be a headshot from BQB, but he secures the kill nonetheless. Decay probing for a Deadeye. Nothing. Maywall really going to allow the Mayhem to disperse across this point, and they catch Mag out. He's in deep trouble. He's forced to dash away to safety with the charge and absolutely dominated. BQB with that DPS gap over Assassin and Decay. And the Florida Mayhem now, they just sit inside the Immortality Field. The cool breeze teases their cheeks as they smile from ear to ear. They're set up to start this series off with a bang, and BQB sends Bebe packing. What a start for the Florida Mayhem.
And as soon as the Mayhem start to engage on the Justice in these type of compositions and uses the speed boost to try and run them down, instead of the Justice kind of holding serve and what we would say is like really kind of playing the neutral game, right? The May walls come out, the Immortality Fields, the trade of damage. The Justice just run and basically give up all position to the Mayhem. I think now with the Justice obviously losing this first map with their map pick, you're going to see them pick maps that definitely favor these Winston-based compositions. I think it's clear right now that they do not want to play the Florida Mayhem in these Reinhardt mirrors.
Yeah, and it looks like the Mayhem will try and play Rush against the Winston composition, so not all maps will even necessarily work if you try and facilitate that double bubble setup. Quite the way to start a series, I'd say, Matt. The Mayhem looked very good early on, but now the Washington have a map pick to make, so we'll see what they choose after the break.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile, America's largest and fastest 5G network. Set your sights on the competition with T-Mobile. The Overwatch League is brought to you by Coca-Cola, the official refreshment of the Overwatch League, and by IBM, the official cloud and AI partner of the Overwatch League.
That's right, the votes are in. Tune into the May Melee tournament from May 6th through 8th, that's next weekend, to earn the Ana Overwatch League home and away skin. Link your account on YouTube today to be eligible. And if you watch my stream at all, I'm pretty pleased about this. This is sick. Nice job, everyone who voted. I bet you're pleased about that one. I have to see what we come up with next month. But Matt, so far, the Florida Mayhem, it's never easy with this team, is it? The calculations never really seem to line up when they get involved. And now it's the 4th seed that lead the first after the first break. As we have a look at these power rankings with IBM Watson for our supports.
It's a different looking Mayhem this year, though. Gangnam Jin, you see him sitting at number 5 here. Both supports for the Justice rank within the top 10. They were rolling throughout the first 3 weeks of the May Melee Qualifiers, so no surprise to see them there. But a different Florida Mayhem this year. You bring in OG, he's a little bit of a wild card, I would say, but where Fate is a much, we do have a sub Jerry coming in for Assassin, where Fate is a very, safe type of player. You don't really kind of play around him. He really enables everybody else to do a lot of different things. OG is a playmaker. He's very aggressive. But then you also bring in Slime, who, remember, he was on the Titans team that played with Bumper, right? I mean, he knows how to play aggressive. And I think he's been an under-the-radar pickup, but a huge addition to this team, a big upgrade over some of the main sports they had last year. And we do have Volskaya coming up next, so this is a clear pick from the Justice to try and play more Winston-based compositions. We see a ton of Winston-based stuff here on Volskaya.
So what does the substitution then of Jerry in for Assassin imply to you, Matt? Because I would have kind of thought that it would be Decay and Assassin for Winston double bubble comps.
Well, we'll see what they decide to play with it, right? You can play Decay on so many different things, right? But we know how good he is on the Tracer. If you wanted to play Tracer with, like, McCree or some other type of hit scan, Jerry would probably be the player to bring in.
Is that standard, or would that be standard with, like, a Winston comp?
It would be a little bit odd, but maybe they want just the ability to switch, right? Maybe they see something where, the Florida Mayhem, if they played, the Tracer, it was a little bit of an issue for them. So right here, there'll be the Florida Mayhem on defense. They'll come out the Wrecking Ball-based composition. Wrecking Ball with the Brig and Zen backline, and they'll put the BQB on Ash, where we casted a game the other day on where it was BQB on Blizzard World, and he was able to really pop off, take control of the high ground alone, but more importantly, deal with an enemy Tracer coming at him over and over and over again. And it's something that he's able to do that a lot of other Ashe players are able to do, just keep himself alive in those Tracer battles. But Decay's got his work cut out for him here. As the Justice, they could opt to play this. They could use the ball, get to the choke, decide what they want to play then. But you do bring Jerry in to play some of that long-range hit scan.
Big difference here is that the Justice roll out. Okay, no, they were coming up with the Yana. They do switch to the Zenyatta. They say, okay, maybe in the event that they were going up against Rush Comp, they wanted something a little bit different, but it will be the Zen. So they will also have the tools to keep OG a little honest. He'll get blown up pretty quickly if he gets discorded and stunned with the shield bash.
They do have Fury here playing the Sigma, which is interesting, because usually you want this Zarya for the bubble onto the ball. It generates a ton of charge for the Zarya, and then also gives some extra survivability to the Wrecking Ball. Mag needs to be pretty careful without having that luxury.
If he gets stunned up, there's no way of just cleansing things off of him. And that includes Discord or... Oh, you're kidding! Yaki wants head first into that one from Jerry. I don't know why he wants to headbutt a bullet so early on in this round, but it doesn't start well for the Mayhem. BQB also being felled here means that the Justice have lost some of the most key pieces, the Mayhem rather, some of the most key pieces down early.
And OG tries to get Jerry off of the high ground, but I mean, he's discorded, stunned up, and barely alive. He's going to be the one that has to touch, but it may not even matter. Fantastic early picks from the Justice are going to lead to a very fast point A take.
I mean, Jerry straight off the bench and just straight into the face of Yaki there. Yaki just, strolling around, maybe trying to find some sort of flank angle, and we said, yeah, okay, maybe you have less tools against a Tracer, on the face of it if you're not playing McCree, right? You don't have flashbang, so Tracers maybe won't respect you as much. You cannot walk in a straight line, and Yaki had no choice because he had to get through the freaking door. You have to go in a straight line to a degree. Nasty stuff here for the Mayhem now. Yaki really wary now, just trying to make sure if he's working into Jerry's sightlines, it's in a more of a serpentine manner.
That has to be so annoying too. He's trying to battle, Decay in the one-on-one, and he's got the Fury Sigma shield coming out in front of the Tracer. Is that be a pulse bomb? Doesn't get anything. It actually drops right off of the Slime Brig shield.
Slime, good reactions there. There is gaps in the bottom of the shield. You can still actually die to the pulse bomb as Brig if you're standing too close to it there. Gangland Din goes down though. There it is, another pick from the Washington Justice. They mean business, but Yaki finally finds that revenge kill on Jerry. The question remains though, will it be enough? Gargoyle is so charged up. Decay is shield bash for a brief moment, but his opposite number, Yaki's already gone down, and the flexibility for the Mayhem is starting to be whittled away. Fury comes in over the top, shields keep Bob quiet for a little bit, and the Transcendence gets used in definitely a suboptimal situation. But Matt, the Mayhem have to stay on this point somehow.
Yeah, and you do have OG here with the minefield, so they're going to be able to extend this for a little bit longer. So BQB will take out closer. It should be the Justice having to back up here, but you do have some kills trickling in late.
Gangland going down here means that, Baby still thinks that he might linger. Fury's so annoying. He's so hard to kill right now. Kinetic Grasp keeping him alive for so long, and the shield is just a pain for the Mayhem to deal with. Decay drops in over the top there, takes a coach gun hit. He was still burning, so he has to recall here. Maybe a little earlier than he would have liked, but it's already one tick for the Justice. That may be all they get from this fight, though. Decay and Bebe down, and BQB sends them packing with a parting gift.
Yeah, and the thing that the Justice would have loved to have had there is he takes some shots at range from Jerry. The Transcendence was used really early on from Bebe. He had Yaki in the back line, putting a ton of damage on him. Wanted to get the Transcendence pushed up towards the point. And the fight really only lasts that long because Decay is such a nuisance in the backlines of the Florida Mayhem. He's able to pick up some kills, keep it going, had Fury there too, but you're not able to, if you would have had the Transcendence there for the Justice, you would have been able to use that, get to the point. This will be Bob sent to the point to contest for the Justice.
Not the kind of emissary I think the Mayhem were expecting, but the Justice do things a little differently. Gargoyle forced to use his personal bubble on the high ground here, and the Justice are... Okay, you're a bit concerned here. BQB, or Bob rather, gets thrown in. That's going to be a tough one. Gargoyle drops down now under the Gravitic Flux.
But that Gravitic Flux is odd, because there was zero chance of following it up. And they're so far away. OG dies.
Maybe they...
really far away from the point, but yeah, the Gravitic Flux had no chance of being a hugely impactful play.
Maybe it's because Bob was just used by the Mayhem, right? There's a world where you follow up that Gravitic Flux when Bob isn't there, but Yaki, oh, how does he get two? Jerry just walks up and says, oh, this seems nice. What's this glowy thing on my teammate? That's a big mistake.
Yaki's face was surprised he even got two. His eyes like lit up like, oh, that's fantastic. This has gone from 5 minutes plus now down to 2 minutes on the clock. I think the thing to look out for here is Bebe with the Transcendence. Can the Florida Mayhem force that out of him again, far away from the point, or can they protect him long enough to be able to hold it, use it for that second wave of defenders coming on in?
Sigma makes this push from the Justice on the left side much deadlier, right? There's way more ways of dealing with Yaki. But Glad, look at this. The Mayhem send most of their resources in, and the Justice split themselves a little bit from the high ground up on the top right and that flank. So the Mayhem, it's scrappy stuff here. They may be able to stay alive now, but that minefield was deployed from extremely high up, max height in fact, so it's very dispersed, which is annoying for Gangnam Jin. He can only take down so many. And here comes a Graviton Surge now. Gargoyle sees Jerry on the high ground, and oh dear!
Oh, it's nasty.
Yeah, it looked like a meat closet. Gargoyle going to move up now. Mags discorded, forced to back up, and there's a minute 15 on the clock.
The Transcendence comes in from Bebe to save them while inside of the Graviton Surge, but OG drops a minefield right on top of it, so as soon as they come out of the grab, there's no more Transcendence left, and everybody's just left standing there, and they end up losing a player. They have to back on up. This has been a really good defense for the Florida Mayhem. So they'll have a rally here for this last fight, and they'll end up with a Bob.
I feel like Fury is definitely being the one scrutinized so heavily right now by the Mayhem. Fury tends to be accompanied by, I think Jerry for the most part, as they've played the left-hand side the last few pushes, but they just dive on the Sigma and get rid of him early. So, Taylor, 2 Bobs. Here we go. BQB going to be very close to having one of his own, but he doesn't have a chance to deploy it. He's taken down across the map by Bebe. Still only halfway to his next Transcendence, but it's causing a lot of problems that OG can't really land right now. That is a nasty salvo of orbs to that top right-hand side. OG's going to roll in now. Fury, Gravitic Flux. Nothing for that one. Gargoyle's still going to be forced back in the corner as the Hyperspheres go bouncing around, and a Decay finally sticks that Pulse Bomb. The Justice look so good early. They're finally slowed down, but it's still a map completion with 8 seconds left.
Yeah, and I think when the Bob was coming out from BQB, he was displaced a little bit, and instead of running and hitting that left corner of the point, it ends up running straight through. Doesn't go off the side, but just goes down the staircase, so not an opportunity to contest, because Bob able to get on there, contest. You had a few other players there for the Mayhem. You're going to be able to get that clock down to 0, which would have been massive, but we'll see how the Justice come out and play this. Do they play the Sigma again? I think that's going to be the one thing that I look at. It didn't seem like Fury's Sigma was that impactful there. Not really a ton with the Gravitic Fluxes. And then also, it just puts a lot more pressure on Mag. He doesn't have the Zarya bubble luxury of if he gets stunned or discorded, whatnot, to save it.
I mean, in fairness, it looked pretty exploitable on multiple occasions, but it might be a matter of adding extra layers of protection for Jerry, or just make it harder for Yaki to, to take Jerry's bandwidth up and leave him sort of free to cause problems elsewhere. It definitely felt like the Justice tried to, use him as the sort of the tip of the spear. With Mag playing Wrecking Ball here, they might be sort of relying on Fury for a bit more protection here. But next Thursday, May 6th, 6 p.m. PT, a little bit later, of course. East meets West, baby! Finally! We're going to see our regions clash in our in our May Melee, rather. It's going to be insane.
Yeah, and I think with the Sigma, you're definitely playing more around the Zenyatta and the Ashe than you are the Wrecking Ball and the Tracer. Really, really letting Decay and Mag create their own game. Really make them worried about keeping themselves alive. As Fury is posted up on the left side high ground, and he's there with both supports. So definitely trying to protect the supports from the dive that's going to come in.
No Discord orb here for the Florida Mayhem, so Mag might actually be able to harass a little bit more, or at least linger a little bit more in that back line without being worried about being blown up instantly. It's just not really going to be a factor. The Mayhem move up here, mostly the left-hand side. Okay, there was a bubble there, but still a good amount of dynamite damage. Jerry still needs to go down and take the Mega, but Gangnam Din's already fallen here, so again, having that extra protection for your Rana, the less mobile option there, looks pretty good. It's scrappy, OG finds a couple, but it looks like the Justice are relatively comfortable early.
Yeah, and I think the one thing you could try and exploit here if you're the Florida Mayhem, you do have Gargoyle and Yaki still hanging out here on the back staircase. Don't think Gargoyle's going to make it out. Yaki may not make it out either. The one thing you can actually try and exploit is, Sigma obviously not very mobile. You don't have a ton of burst healing with the Zen Brig lineup. So can you dive the Sigma? Can you put enough damage down on the Sigma to kind of create some panic there, right? With all three of those players, the Sigma, the Zen, and the Brig playing close together, this pulse bomb from Yaki could be big.
Decay wants to let one go first, though, and the Mayhem, despite not having Sigma, are also playing close. BQB's down, the McCree's out of the picture now. It's just the Tracer for the Florida Mayhem, and now they're in disarray. So OG goes forward, but Gargoyle can't really follow up. He gets hit with a pile driver by Mag, so he's sort of stunned for a moment. Yaki has to do this alone. I don't envy this man's position at all. This is a huge task. Bebe's knocked to the ground, but look at this. Immediately, Fury and Closer also drop down. But the problem is, they drop down away from line of sight of Mag, who finally gets brought down.
Yeah, they use a nano boost on OG. He ends up getting Primal Rage out of it and just, pushing players around on that high ground. They're not able to get back together. As Jerry will send the Bob in. He's going to have 1 foot on the point to contest.
Yaki stunned up for a moment. Pulse Bomb. Again, another speculative one. Doesn't connect. And there's going to be 2 support ultimates at once here. The Justice pop both the Rally and the Transcendence. And they push now. Gain back some of that old percentage that they used. Decay having a great fight. And again, BQB, a non-factor on the McCree.
Well, let's see now, though. A minute and 20 on the clock. You just burned both support ults, stacked them on top of each other. And now the Florida Mayhem come back with Grav, a Rally. They'll have a Nano, Deadeye. Like, this is a huge advantage, should be, for the Florida Mayhem. Nothing to live through this grab that comes down. You can grab, Nano the Winston, put down enough damage to finish off a few players, but ooh, that is huge early on.
That hurts. Now, again, your backline looking much safer. Mag might be slept here. Fury needs to hit a Gravitic Flux out of the backline. I think that's the most important thing. I think he actually gets the BQB, who's just held aloft during Deadeye. Yeah, and he's pretty safe there from the Pulse Bomb that doesn't quite make it. Fury can't do anything about Zarya's damage here unless he has a shield, which he doesn't. And like you predicted, the Mayhem just have the excess, the surplus of ultimate abilities to get them in a position pretty comfortably now. Despite having to deal with things like the Gravitic Flux early, they're ready to take this point.
But they didn't even need to use all of them, though. They're able to hold on to the Nano Boost and the Grab, potentially, as Mag gets hit with a Biotic Grenade. He's in a lot of trouble, but 14 seconds left. Yeah, they work back to the point. They're not gonna use anything. They're gonna back out here. No way the Justice will contest this. That'll be the point going to the Florida Mayhem. Coming in here, though, Gargoyle's gonna have the Grab. You're gonna have the Nano still. You could do Grab Pulse Bomb coming up really quick. With no Transcendence or anything on the other side, it could be a quick fight if the Florida Mayhem, they execute this right.
Again, they started that last fight by losing Yaki, and they still won it. So it's 6 players, and still no more support ultimates on the side of the Justice. Things don't look much better for the defenders. Nanoboost, that's to OG. He will be able to build a Primal off this. Crucially finds the kill before Closer can get back inside the spawn. That's a big one. Gangnam Jin and Gargoyle have gone down, though. So a lot of the heavy hitters now missing in OG. Can't find the kill on Azaya. He drops over the edge. He knows it's done.
And that was such an odd situation. Gargoyle ends up grabbing Jerry. And I don't know if it's intentional, but it's basically at the same time where Jerry uses Bob. So he grabs Jerry. The Bob is there inside of the grab. And Gargoyle didn't look like he had a personal bubble, so he used to run all the way around the corner, taking so much damage from the Bob that he trapped right in front of him. That's a fight that does not work out for the Florida Mayhem. A lot of good ultimates there, didn't get anything out of it.
Bob really doing his job there. Quite the bodyguard. Oh, that was cute. Later. That was cute from Slime. All right, he tries to shield bash Decay and make sure that he at least takes him down with him, but Decay gets away and he gets 2. Good start for the Justice now, and that should relieve the pressure of this next fight and stall longer.
So Yaki ends up using his Pulse Stomp towards the end of that, maybe just trying to force out whether it be Rally, Transcendence.
I don't know how you
for
force
nothing there. Yeah, it does. I mean, even like if you would have stuck the Zen, like if in that situation, you're already up what 2 players, just die and come back. Like, Justice both support ults and the minefield here. And this is such a difficult spot for the Mayhem because you don't have you're not going to be able to build up some of these ultimates before the end of the round. So you have to figure out a way to force Justice into a mistake.
Completely caught out there. I don't think he was ready for BQB, but Yaki gets taken down by Jerry! He's found 2! That's so punishing. Oh my!
Even with that first kill, you're forced into that back corner, and they have a minefield. They have a ton of other ultimates to work with. A rally comes through. Didn't really... after that first fight here for Florida, you have not had a really good chance because that was your best suite of ultimates with how much time was left on the clock. Coming towards this next point.
30 seconds under that. In fact, 20 now left in the round. The Mayhem need to get their ducks in a row if they even want to push this towards overtime. Nano Boost will be there for OG if he doesn't get blown up instantly. Jerry already starting to pressure down those shields, chipping away at the resolve of the Mayhem. Here they come. OG immediately gets Coach Gun there. Dangerous position for OG to be in right now, and Decay backs away. He heard the Deadeye being used, but he still wants to use a Pulse Bomb. Fury, he's so low, just around the corner, but he's going to stay alive. It doesn't matter though. Decay for 3! He may have done this for the Justice. There's still more work to be done though. He needs to make a health pack, but that room's currently occupied by a very angry Simeon. OG goes low. Bebe goes over the edge. He extends his arm to his teammate. Help me, brother. No, he can't. And the Mayhem is set up here. That's 2 ticks. Here comes the stall though. Fury drops in, good adapted shield, and OG gets blown up. This is a very good sign for the Justice as they try and stop this cap. Here come the reinforcements, and the Justice all of a sudden are back to 6. Yaki falls, and that'll do it. Decay getting rid of 3 players with 1 Pulse Bomb means the Mayhem just don't have the resources left to finish the cap.
But the fact that it was almost close. I mean, Decay gets 3 with the Pulse Bomb. It's in the Graviton Surge, drops the Pulse Bomb in, perfectly placed. But right after that, OG is able to get 2 with a Primal Rage at BQB there, still picking up some kills. And there was a while, it was just 3 players alive. Now Yaki, BQB, and OG on the point for the Mayhem, but the respawn's obviously so close for the Justice coming back in to tie the series up.
Now, we talked about it. You said that the Justice would definitely opt for a map that suited their composition, their play style more. You were right. We saw a ton of dive compositions here in the Justice. Not by much, but they do look a little bit better here on Volskaya Industries. The other side of that coin is now the Mayhem get to make a selection of their own. Do we go back to Rush? Do we see more of these dive-based compositions? Only time will tell, so stick around and find out with us.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile, America's largest and fastest 5G network. Set your sights on the competition with T-Mobile. And by Xfinity, the preferred internet provider of the Overwatch League.
Goes to show that for those that know the Washington Justice, there is always more where that came from, Matt. They make a substitution in that last match. They bring Jerry in, who looks stunning on the hit scan rolls primarily, really starting to match BQB. And they ended up getting a win on a really hard-fought Volskaya. But Assassin now comes back in as Jerry hits the bench once more.
Yeah, and the map pick for the Florida Mayhem is a traditional Reinhardt map as we go to hybrid. It'll be Kings Row. Nothing surprising here. Seems like the Florida feels they can take advantage of the Reinhardt-based compositions for the Justice. The Justice, they go to Volskaya, they're able to play the ball in the Winston-based compositions, and they're able to take that one. So we'll see now with Assassin in, do we see the Justice play some more of the Winston with the Tracer Sombra type of compositions? This is one where Florida, if you want, we've seen like teams play Hangzhou on this map. You can play just traditional like May McCree Rush. A lot of different things that the Florida Mayhem can do here.
Right, some of the similar compositions we actually see on Temple of Anubis at times, even if it's a very different game type. But that's one of the other maps where we kind of see Hangzhou mixed in there. And, you know, teams are expecting to have to deal with like a ton of May walls, and there's a ton of mind games, frankly, around sort of making sure that your Reinhardt doesn't get caught out and isolated. And if that does happen, you need to be getting out of dodge very quickly. The Baptiste players are really the focus in these kind of setups, right? Are they able to pop over the May wall, deliver the immortality field, keep the Reinhardt alive until the rest of the team can come? Expect to see that from the Florida Mayhem here, and yeah, I guess we're starting to tease out a little bit of a narrative about the way that these teams sort of prefer to play. The Mayhem might look pretty good on Volskaya, playing those dive-based compositions, right? There are no slouches there, but no, they definitely look more comfortable here. Yaki's insane on this May.
And we'll see what the Justice decide to do when this comes out. With the Mayhem going McCree on D, you could go like Hangzhou and play a little bit more at range. Like if they wanted to play Poke the Justice, you totally could do here, where you could play like Ryan Sigma with a Hangzhou. Potentially, as we'll see what Assassin decides to play. And the rest of the Justice as they come out of the spawn. So Decay maybe with a Sonic Arrow up in the high ground, as this will be Winston. Yuri's going to go back to the change, probably, play a Zarya here. Yep. So, and they'll stay with Hangzhou. Oh, no, they're going to play the Winston with the Sigma. That's in. No, Ryan Sigma. Okay, so this is exactly what I was talking about. You could play this type of poke, this composition, where you don't want to rush, you don't want to get aggressive. You play the Sigma because Sigma wants to play a little bit slower. You want to play for position up on the high ground, set up those shields, and then you can have the Hangzhou who outranges the McCree.
And there's a feeling that, if the Mayhem try and get too aggressive on defense, Fury can really punish, OG in this position with, something like aggression or just a consistent damage. Decay, looking, I think, for BQB just to try and pick, or maybe it's Yaki, try and get a flanking position through. Oh my! The Fire Strike gets eaten, and then BQB has the extra damage there. Decay just fizzled out of existence.
And that's usually what you see the Hangzhou do to the McCree, where they just kind of, the insta-kill, be able to take the McCree out. But you do see how this Justice composition can be effective, right? You saw Fury, for a little bit, he was over by the hotel, had a shield, he was able to just spam that choke, where they're trying to push them back into the back left corner, and then you can get the Hangzhou in position over on the right-hand side of the statue, and get some crossfire going on. Which that's what the Justice want to try and set up.
So far, not a great start for them in that regard. Assassin doesn't really have any May wall setups right now. He needs to get a little bit closer if he can. The Mayhem are kind of denying the Justice like a straight fight here.
Well, the Justice take high ground, but they don't want to push straight through because the May is there. You're gonna get split off, and now they're gonna get pushed down into the hallway. They do get a freeze on a gargoyle, but he drops down to the low ground as they wait out that amp matrix.
They tried to Maywall BQB inside the hotel there while they pushed so he wouldn't have that off angle. Eventually he doesn't get that, and this is the risk here. You drop to the point, BQB gets a Deadeye kill on Decay. That is 2-0 in that particular matchup.
You should see where BQB is at. I mean, it is a ranked style flank. He is over, on the perch where the offense would typically like go up on that high ground and drop down. He made his way all the way through the hotel, through the staircase to their spawn area, and ends up dropping a big Deadeye from behind.
And that's, by the way, without like a Lucio speed boost. He just
he's just walking around. Yeah.
Just 2 feet and a heartbeat and a lot of audacity.
Well, there's so much dancing that goes on here up on the high ground, where they don't want to run into the May. They try to get the freeze.
I'm so annoyed.
Look at the wall. Yeah.
You can't break that May wall either. It's lateral, longitudinal rather, so you can't get through it.
And then when they wrap and try and play high ground, the Florida Mayhem just wrap again.
All right, May wall down. Florida just, they switch sides now. They're actually split in 2 somewhat.
Well, they're trying to just get anybody.
Nothing. Matt comes up with absolutely nothing. He casts the net wide and comes up with maybe, I don't know, a dead kipper. It ain't good. Immortality field to use by both sides here. Mag trying to punish the fact that the Mayhem, they're collected inside that room under the statue. And Decay finally draws blood, right? Gets rid of OG. And with the Lucio down now for the Mayhem, they don't really have any options for maneuvering. It's a matter of stalling now.
This should be the Justice. Able to take it. Oh, well, Yaki gets 1. You're going to have OG back. OG gets closer. What? And Slime is back, and they have a sound barrier. You cannot lose that if you're the Justice. That is so bad.
Assassin had to ice block, man. He took like a close range icicle from Yaki. Wow. What on earth am I watching here? The Justice have to go in with a sound barrier with only 4 players, but OG and the rest of the Mayhem are back and they're triumphant. OG with a ridiculous fire strike. But Yaki holds it down almost solo. That is sensational.
That's a bad loss right there for the Justice. A real bad loss. I mean, that one's not good. You end up, and they had a sound barrier as well.
Adjectives for bad.
And then well, look, I mean, I would add another one before that, but it's not not one you use a broken. I mean, that was
Oath Boys.
Oath Boys. Yeah, I mean, that was you have a DMech, so they get a DMech on a gargoyle, and then all it is they pushed Gangnam Jin all the way back to their own choke, so he's basically not even there. And then you have like a McCree at half HP by the statue, and then Yaki like up top on the McCree on the May, and he gets a pick. So you're like, all right, like that's cool. And then Slime and OG comes back. OG hits like a cross map fire strike on a closer who's got the sound barrier, and then everybody else has to run away. But because you don't have the Lucio, then Yaki now uses a May wall and splits some players off. I mean, that is a tough one.
It's out there looking like that. Yeah, like the Hail Mary of Hail Marys. That's nicely done there. You're playing against double shield, by the way. You get 3 players shattered. That is like extreme overperformance in that regard.
OG, but in a match this important, you can't lose. You can't lose like that, man. You just can't. You just can't.
Ooh, okay. Well, the Florida Mayhem now, win condition is set. Just 76.6% on that first point, and they got it. So, I mean, there is a sense of inevitability clouding the air for the Washington Justice. They themselves are going to play this rush comp, which we kind of know that they don't feel as happy on. But Fury's on the Diva here, at least. Maybe a little bit more of an optimal choice for him personally.
Yeah, and I think you can definitely catch the Sigma out off guard. Maywalls come down from both sides, not able to find anything as Assassin gets really low, Sigma Decay.
Matt commits as well to the statue room as well. OG thinks about it, but it's the... Oh no! The outmaneuver! OG sneaks into the back! The cat amongst the pigeons! So much damage to the Washington Justice, and Baby frankly can't keep them alive! OG now is just succumbing to bloodlust, and he'll have another one! Ridiculous stuff here from the Florida Mayhem. Talk about lighting it up, Matt. What a way, what a statement in map number 3.
That is a huge change of momentum. Obviously, it's the Florida Mayhem map pick, and they're able to play the composition they want, but in the way that the Justice end up losing on their offense, I mean, that is brutal. and that should really, it kind of rattles a team like this, right? It's the first time some of these players are in this position for the Justice, especially as a favorite, right? Coming in as that #1 seed. So they got to regroup going into this next map.
You have to feel like so many of the doubters now, those people that look at the Mayhem seeded 4th and think there's some real vulnerabilities, there's real cracks in the armor on this team, might have to reconsider. Yeah, maybe they don't prefer to play the double bubble style, but they go up against the #1 seed, they force rush, they look miles better, and now they're in a position to take the entire series and head to the May Melee. Ridiculous stuff here. Stick around, you do not want to miss how this next map goes down.
Coca-Cola is the official refreshment of the Overwatch League.
Quite a storied season for OG, punctuated by mostly lows and some highs scattered here and there, but obviously he's going up against a play that he was traded for. Obviously leaves the Dallas Fuel, goes to the Justice, Decay goes the other direction. OG on that team was, on that Dallas team especially, he was so emotional when they had that first home game in Dallas because it had been such a tough run for that team and him sort of personally on that roster. Now he's surrounded by a completely different core, and you can see just what he can achieve against a top-flight team like the Justice.
Well, I think it's a fantastic situation for OG. He comes into a situation where this is a rock-solid core. They have a coach who was a main tank, right, with Kuki. So gonna put him in a great position. You have one of the better off-tanks in the league in Gargoyle. You have a lot of pieces around OG that he hasn't really had in his career, where you can look at some of the teams that he's on, and there's holes here, there's holes there. And really, in the Reinhardt matchup, but the Reinhardt you wouldn't say is OG's strength. He's really taken it to the Justice today.
Well, these are DPS numbers. All of these are DPS numbers. I mean, the deaths even is... that's really remarkably low. If you think back to the BQB stat card we were showing, he had like 4 deaths per 10, and everyone was like, wow, that's so good. I mean, I think that obviously this is probably heavily skewed by them absolutely clapping the Justice in that previous map.
Well, the map there is huge, and really probably the biggest map that you could look at the end of this series, depending on how the rest of it shakes out, is map number 1. With the Florida Mayhem winning map number 1, it kind of, the loser picks the map of the next ones. Now we go to Dorado next. Dorado, pretty good for the Winston-based compositions, even ball ones. If you were to lose this, if you're the Florida Mayhem, you now get to pick the game 5. You still have, because we saw Oasis at the beginning, you have Lijiang Tower, which is a really strong Reinhardt map for a lot of different points. And you also, you have Nepal, another pretty good Reinhardt map for situations where if the shoe is on the other foot, let's say, you're the Justice, you could pick something like Ilios, where you have, a few points where you can play a lot of those Winston-based compositions, play for some of the high ground. So the map selection here is really playing out to be key in this series, where Jerry comes back in for Assassin. And I think this kind of speaks to the way that the map pool has dictated a lot of what we've seen so far throughout the May Melee, through the qualifiers and in the knockouts, where the meta is not certain to the point where you can just play something across all of the maps. The meta is really map dependent at this point. So when you're good at one certain thing, and maybe you have a lot of series with certain maps in the pool and whatnot, you can really hunker down and get really good at one thing. But when the other teams start to force you off of it, that's when you start to see yourself get into some trouble.
Right, and that's what makes these knockout games and the May Melee next week so much more interesting, Matt, because they aren't preset, predetermined map pools at all. So you can't even just look at a series on paper and go, well, we're advantaged or we're disadvantaged, right? I think winning control first is really important, right? That means that if you trade maps, you're going to win. Getting to 3 first, obviously, being the goal there. So for the Florida Mayhem now, they're, like I said, this next map, right? They're definitely looking at this going, right, it's Dorado. That's the map that's been selected by the Justice here. Definitely a really strong map for sort of dive compositions. The amount of high ground, the amount of verticality, it could have been this, or, it could have been Gibraltar. I think the issue is still sort of the same if you prefer to play the Rush comp in that. It's a little bit hard to make that work, to get a ton of value out of Reinhardt, where we just saw OG stat card. You can see where so much of the value that's being derived by the Mayhem comes from that individual. I want to point out, though, that Volskaya was extremely close.
Yes, I was just going to say
it was a very close map.
It's not like when you've had the Justice on what they want to play that they've just blown out the Florida Mayhem. The Mayhem have been able to hang in those situations, whether it be the ball or the Winston-based compositions. It's really only kind of been one-sided and looked at one-sided at times when we have these Reinhardt mirrors, especially with the May in the mix, where the Yaki's May very good.
And that's definitely going to be dangerous here for the Justice if they run into anything that sort of resembles that. Now, obviously, maybe towards the end of Dorado, there's the option to switch, but most teams just aren't going to do that because the ultimate economy and the cycling of those ultimates is just so crucial to keep your Winston pumped up at all times. Making sure the Ana can enable the Winston to go a little bit further, dive a little bit deeper, be a little bit more reckless with some of those pushes. Still, I think the Florida Mayhem are well positioned. And of course, the winner of this match is heading to the Final Four. The top 4 teams in the Overwatch world, and they will be represented as part of the Western Division's offering.
Then you see the Eastern regions teams, right? With the Shanghai Dragons, the Chengdu Hunters making it through. Shanghai in a crazy match against the Philly Fusion, 3-2. I believe that went 6 maps. And Chengdu. Chengdu really turning into the team that a lot of people thought they would be this year. You know, with adding Gaga in the mix. It'd be awesome if the Florida Mayhem were to make it for the story simply of seeing Fate on the Shanghai Dragons now, and you know, maybe we see a Fate versus the Florida Mayhem with OG on them in one of our early matches. And Chengdu is just a wild card, man. Chengdu, you have no clue how they're going to be.
All right, well, OG's trying to fix his headset at the moment, so he's having comms device issues. We have a few comms device planted in strategic locations to catch some of the action. Let's listen in to some of the voice chat from the players last week.
Yeah, mic check. Mic check.
Dalton.
Yes.
Leave your t-shirt down.
What? Let me show my cleavage or something?
No, the one.
Huh?
I hear this like ringing, like this.
Yeah, Bird, I trust your pick for whatever, okay?
Torbjorn?
No. Not Torbjorn.
What?
I don't trust I trust Birdwing's pick.
What?
Smoke signal is also kind of crazy on the subject of technology. What do you think about it?
What are you saying? Not really.
I think it's cool.
I just want to play, man. I'm gonna rage.
Ow! Back. I did nothing.
You look good while you did it though.
Nerf this.
I would want like a toddler just for like the sake of it, be funny. Like
You're like, yeah, don't feed it or anything.
I don't know about that.
I can just see Fry like dressing up exactly like him, matching clothes and everything, walking down the street.
You definitely have a baby carrier thing.
No, I had a baby backpack. My dad would run with me in the back.
Oh, explains a lot.
That just doesn't make sense.
Your brain was probably bouncing all over your skull.
I feel like Lester is a scary guy. His voice is so deep. His voice is so deep.
Yeah.
Like he could take my hand and just throw it my own hand into my own face, you know?
I don't think so.
And then I'm down crying.
Oh, he was Valiant too.
That's my ex-teammate. I'll show him who the better tracer is.
Focus point.
Right there.
Oh,
No, you need to see what just happened. Did you get right-clicked?
What was this?
Look at that! Oh my god! No, bro. Alright, you guys got this. Good luck.
All right, our headset issues for OG are sorted out, and now the Mayhem are ready to dive back into this series. And quite the helpful breather for the Washington Justice, because there's no team that comes out of that last map without being just a little rattled, Matt.
It's impossible not to, I think, if you're the Justice, because a ton of pressure. You know, you're the #1 seed, lots of hype. You come in, you already see the Florida Mayhem play this morning. You're probably a little bit worried there. But then you find yourselves down 2-1. All right, it's got to be a little bit worrying for the Justice, but you do get to pick this map. So a little bit of a saving grace for the Justice as they'll be on offense to kick things off here on Dorado.
And we'll see now what the Mayhem have defensively here. I think you're pretty crazy not to go for something that has this kind of mobility, this Wrecking Ball aspect to it. The Sigma for Gargoyle is going to be joining the Wrecking Ball here, and this is a variation, sort of a spin on the sort of the Wrecking Ball. We've seen Wrecking Ball Diva, we've seen Wrecking Ball Zyra even on occasion here.
Yeah.
A little bit of extra protection while OG goes off to work to try and bring home the bacon.
Yeah, it's typically the Wrecking Ball with the Zarya, and then instead of Slime playing the Mercy, he would be on the Brig. But if you're going to play the Sigma and you have some of this high ground control, not a ton of areas for the Brig, like not unlike Volskaya where you can get some close quarter engagements. This is really a lot. You know, you'll be able to pocket Gangnam Jin and BQB up on the high ground, let them put even down more damage.
Customarily, Decay headbutts his monitor and is ready to play. Teleport to the high ground there, and nothing really spotted by the Justice, or at least nothing they're willing to act on. BQB will be damage boosted here, so bear that in mind. He's dealing with both Decay and Jerry though, so The threat of the Widowmaker now, the Ash, still going to be present.
They're going to try and wrap all the way around here, the Justice. They get up on the high ground in this side, and it was a Discord Orb from Mag, but you see, the Gargoyle knows exactly where this is going to come from.
I mean, Rig would be good here. They want to force this, like, even fire on the high ground. I mean, Baby just gets blown up, though. The Mayhem are able to get the Tracer in position.
They can't close the gap onto BQB, Gangnam Jin, and Slime from that spot, so you're just going to have the damage boost, Zen Ash combination, just with the Discord just pumping in damage from range, and also just the annoyance of Sigma, right? Just Sigma just spamming these chokes. It's going to be really difficult to break through that.
Yeah, because he constantly, constantly there's just spam on that corner.
And what sightline do you even give Jerry here? If we could see from Jerry's POV, he's just like down on the low ground, just walking.
Can he even get up onto a building?
Jerry is walking all the way pretty much towards that side, but like there's no shield for him to play behind, can't access the high ground because then that gives him an even worse angle, and not a lot of areas for him to work through here.
Look at this, the Mayhem just back up. They see the dive come in from Mag. They go, okay, right, you can have the high ground for now. Now they've got OG back in position. He just stalls. So, okay, well, you want to move the card, now you need to come down. Fury finding very little. Probably hoping to set Mag up for a dive in a moment. And this is where that lack of brick might hurt the Mayhem, is staving off this Winston, especially with the Zaya bubble, could be hard unless they hit a, okay.
I mean, I was going to say, the Winston's got to be able to get close, but I mean, look at that. That's Discord Mercy boost with a headshot there on the Fury. No chance to keep himself alive. As under 2 minutes on the clock, he's 49% of the way to grab. Mag is 44% of the way to a primal. They've had no opportunity to do anything. No, because they've either had, Decay drop, they've had Fury drop. They've never had an opportunity to actually get an attack going.
I think, man, it happens here or not at all. Mana boost to Mag. He's going to go in and try and find something with a Gritting Flux defensively. He's able to get out of it. Gargoyle gets slept during the Sigma ult. That would have been the answer to Mag. That would have been the Winston. They would have had it for dinner. But, I mean, somehow, heroically, Baby's able to get a ridiculous sleep dart across the map. It's not over yet, though. Slime is down. Pulse Bomb connection there, but it looks like a bubble from Fury to keep him from hurting himself or his teammate. So it's a player advantage right now for the Washington Justice, and they are just moving it in slowly for now. Transcendence gets forced here, and the Mayhem need to look for an advantage, and they found it. They worked the left side room. Jerry falls to the Dynamite, and the rest of the Mayhem pile in on the left.
Oh, that is such a massive play at the start, though, from Bebe to be able to sleep Gargoyle, but it may actually go for nothing here as the Transcendence is huge from Gangnam Jin, keeps OG, Gargoyle, and BQB alive. So that'll be a fight win. Decay Decay gets a stick of the Pulse Bomb on the Slime as he's in Valkyrie up on like the bridge. Huge plays from Decay and Bebe, but absolutely nothing from everybody else as BQB will take out Jerry at range, as they've had no answer for this long range, just poke chip damage that's come in from the Sigma, the Ash, and the damage boosts on the Zen.
Washington's chance to represent the Western region in the May Melee are about to go begging. They have 5 seconds left, and they need this first checkpoint. Decay doesn't quite have a Pulse Bomb yet. He'll need to find a way to stick it. He'll need to touch the cart for now. Yaki is so deep behind enemy lines now. Wants to make sure that maybe Jerry doesn't have an easy way in. Good sleep, another big sleep. OG can't pile drive right now, but no one's there to help Jerry. Graviton Surge used on Gargoyle, but Isa has the kinetic grasp to keep himself alive from the projectiles. Bob can contest the card. He's so hard to move right now, and Yaki's looking for a way through the back door. The Justice now, they're getting whiplash. They're looking left, right, front, and back to try and deal with this pressure, but it just keeps coming in waves. Bebe goes down, OG deals with Decay and the Justice. Oh, they're in deep trouble, Matthew.
They were never able to get Jerry in a position to do anything. When you mentioned, that Yaki is really far away over by the Justice spawn, Jerry had to coach gun himself up onto the high ground just to live for a little bit longer, and then he has no option. Everybody else has to move to the cart, so he's like, well, I either drop down and take this fight with Yaki at 75% HP, or I just stand up here and I don't contribute at all. He drops down. Yaki's got recall. He's going to lose that fight 10 out of 10 times. Loses that. You were never able to get the tanks in position just because the damage with the damage boost Discord Orb combination with BQB on the Ash, who is consistently finding picks at the beginning of these fights. It's Florida so close to booking their tickets to Hawaii.
And I mean, this is, frankly, the Mayhem now just beating the Justice of what we were calling, sort of, with air quotes, their own game. At first, it looked like the Mayhem straight away from playing this.
Though. It's not like the Mayhem have been completely outmatched in this, right?
Hey there. Imagine getting eliminated here, the Justice. They would be absolutely stunned by it, but it's starting to become a reality. In those last moments here, this is overtime, by the way. Notice how close Slime is to Valk.
Heroes never die.
Slick stuff, Matt.
Yeah, the Sigma shield comes down, the pistol there.
Glock him!
The second one
Get with the Glock, baby!
So, all right, so Justice, they'll come out with McCree and Tracer. They'll play a Winston-based composition on defense because they have to play a little bit closer. Yaki switches immediately to Echo, so they'll play Echo in the Ash, which is a little bit of an interesting combo.
For Yaki, it's just a matter of finding a way to flank, very quickly blowing up a target. Those sticky bombs need to hit, essentially. You can follow up on a dynamite pretty effectively.
You're going to be okay.
Well, the cart's been allowed to move.
I was going to say, well, where with the cart ends up being, you know, the golden box of victory, one kill here for the Florida Mayhem is massive, especially with the payload progress that the Justice are now going to give up, potentially letting it get under the bridge, getting it close. Mag has to step up to just prevent that from happening, but you're in a spot where if you get one pick, which is, you know, some Ash damage, OG diving in, the Echo being able to blow a player up, you're in a great spot if you're the Florida Mayhem at that point.
To win this map, the Justice would have to pull off one of the most ridiculous defensive endeavors that we've really seen in the Overwatch League. Maybe close to a nano boost here, so Mag just needs to stay alive a little longer and he will be able to be that initiator, should he be called upon. Jerry, you don't need healing. Don't do that. Nano boost. Oh, there it is. Mag goes in. Good follow up on the biotic grenade there. Slime just gets blown up.
You hold the nano boost here for the Florida Mayhem as Yaki is in a really tough spot. I mean, he is so far away. So he's very deep behind the Justice right now. They may not even turn and try and be able to kill him. They may not have enough time. That's going to nano boost on OG.
No sleep there. Bebe sleep darts into the shield. He is forced to use that one early, and he goes down as a result. The trade is there, though. Gargoyle gets held aloft inside the gravitic flux and is brought crashing down. But Mag is sleeping right now. He has Primal Rage, but he can't do anything with it. He has a little bit of health left, and Jerry wants to catch OG with this, but all he does is force OG away for a time. The breathing room needs to be used well. Mag, with the space provided there by that Deadeye, is able to find 2 kills, but Fury drops down. Another sleep on Mag. The cart, though, not going to be moving for the time being. The Justice have the numbers, and it's now 90 seconds for the Mayhem to come up with the goods.
They'll get a hold. Yaki ended up using Duplicate during that fight on the Decay and got absolutely nothing with it. It looks like Yaki going back to the spawn and going to change. Is this the May they bring in here? Tracer? Yep, they're going to play Tracer. So, going to see a mirror matchup for both teams. Still have a rally available here for the Justice. Not over yet, as they've looked really good on defense thus far.
Bebe is doing too much to keep Mag alive in these fights. Yaki needs to get into the back line and remove the bulk of the healing before it becomes a problem. And there you can see Bebe go low, harassed out. He's closing, now going to go for the rally. On the high ground, OG got a bubble and he dived there. He couldn't make it happen. Careful, Decay. Dicing with death. Stands a little bit too long in BKB's crosshairs, but now the latter is being pressured from the high ground as well. 45 seconds left in the round.
Yeah, they wait out the rally so they can get a rally of their own. This will be a nano on a Mag, sending him in, go after the supports.
He wants it. God, he wants it. He can't find any supports, though. The Nano Winston gets nothing. He needs to get his Primal Rage online. He's got a few percent, but Decay got stunned. He still got the Pulse Bomb kill onto Slime. Slime couldn't make him pay. Gargoyle, the grab, it's big. OG punches Baby's lights out, and he'll chase Jerry down. Flash, fan, roll, Deadeye. OG's on top of him there and doesn't give him a chance. Mag, though, reciprocating on the other side of the map, and OG needs to do even more. Great bubble timing. He gets it, but there's still a Tracer that needs to be dealt with now. Decay trying to get to the cup, but he's too far away, too far gone. And the chances now for the Justice. That's it. The Mayhem have made it to the May Melee.
Fantastic play there at the end from the Florida Mayhem. They wait out the rally that comes in from the Justice. They play so patient, able to build up their own ultimates. And even with the heroics from Decay, he lands that pulse bomb on a slime. As soon as he uses the rally, Mag able to pick up a kill with a Primal Rage. It's not enough. OG looked very strong throughout that series. A really good sign for Mayhem fans.
I mean, it's crazy how close some of these maps have been, right? The ones where we do
Down
get
to the
these
wire.
dive compositions. It's electrifying. It's really exciting to see both of these teams try and find a way to compromise each other's, ult cycling and healing coming out from Ana. But really, it's Florida Mayhem that pull off such an impressive first hold. They set such a tall task for the Justice to overcome on Dorado. We're thinking this could go either way, but really, OG, I mean, what a series for him.
Now, I'm telling you, even though it's the map pick for the Justice there, the way they lost Kings Row had to burn a little bit. With the way they kind of were, they had full control over that point. They should have been able to secure it, and some kills come in from Yaki up on the high ground, a fire strike out of nowhere. They end up not even able to unlock the payload, unlock the point. Those type of brutal losses carry over, and as soon as that hold comes in from the Florida Mayhem, had to be a little bit of a loss of confidence there for the Justice.
Yeah, tough one there. And our player of the match presented by Xfinity has to be one of the names that have been on the tips of our tongues for most of this series. That's right, OG comes away with the honors today. I mean, he looked very, very good, on Winston. Matt, you were the one that mentioned, I mean, right now it's not really necessarily what he's even known for famously here, but when he gets a chance to play it in these rush compositions, that's where the Mayhem just look leagues ahead of the Justice.
In a series where the hype tank coming in was Mag, everybody talking about Mag. OG lives up to some of the potential everybody thought this player had. And he was great all series long. Really won them the games, in those Reinhardt maps was very strong. And then even his Winston, we know Winston to be OG's best hero traditionally. And he shows up on that hero as well, especially on Dorado at the end, some big Primal Rages. So this is a well-deserved, player of the match for OG.
These stats are definitely going to make Watson happy, and OG should be very pleased with his performance overall now. To be in a position where they can actually really fight for glory and getting to be involved in some cross-region play is fantastic. We're going to take a quick break, ladies and gentlemen, and when we return, we'll have a Winter's interview in a few moments. So we're going to be able to hear a little bit from Danny, and I think we'll be very, very pleased to hear what the Mayhem have to say. But stick around, we'll get that interview coming back on the other side of this short break.
Coca-Cola is the official refreshment of the Overwatch League.
Welcome to Game Break presented by Cheez-It Grooves, everybody. My name is Danny Lim. I am here joined by 강남진 from Florida Mayhem. 남진 선수 안녕하세요.
안녕하세요.
How do you feel right now? You just won a really big match. 지금 되게 큰 경기를 이기시게 됐는데 어떠신가요? 지금?
네. 저희가 좀 제 개인적인 실수 같은 거랑 그런 거 좀 꼬인 것도 있었는데 그래도 이겨가지고 하와이 가게 돼서 기분이 너무 좋습니다.
I feel like I made mistakes here and there, a little bit of, I could have played a little bit better, and things didn't really go as I sort of envisioned, but we still ended up winning, so I'm very happy that I'm going to Hawaii. All right, my first question is, you actually got to play 2 matches today. What did you guys do in the time between the 2 matches? Did you guys get some rest, or were you guys busy prepping for your match today, your second match against the Washington Justice? 일단 오늘 2경기나 좀 오늘 하루 안에 경기
네.
2개나 뛰시게 됐는데 좀 어떠셨나요? 그리고 좀 중간에 그 쉬는 타이밍에 진짜로 쉬셨는지 아니면 좀 2번째 경기를 준비하느라 좀 바쁘셨는지?
일단 저희가 원래 웜업을 하는데 오늘은 경기를 만약에 이기게 되면 2경기를 해서 딱 체력 관리를 해서 그리고 한 경기 끝나고는 그냥 저희 다음 경기 하는 거 보면서 그냥 쉬었어요.
Alright, so what we usually do is, we usually warm up after a match, and for today, we had to play 2 matches. So we really focused on our health and our condition to be able to just go in as fully recovered going into the second match. So we focused on our condition, and after our first match was over, after we got the win, we sort of focused on resting, and we sort of watched the second match after our first match was over. All right, so my second question is, first off, I want to congratulate you formally for winning the match today, and you guys are going into May Melee, and you guys will be going to Hawaii. Who do you want to face from the APAC region, and why? 일단 질문하기 전에 일단 5월 토너먼트에 들어가신 거 너무나 축하드리고요. 이제 하와이를 가시게 될 텐데 첫 경기에서 아시아 팀과 만나시게 될 텐데 좀 이렇게 눈여겨본 아시아 팀이 좀 있나요?
저는 무조건 상하이요. 상하이랑 하고 싶어요.
왜요?
일단 예전에 팀이었던 재곤이가 있고 그리고 바로 작년에 같이 메이엠에 있었던 페이트가 있어가지고 한번 상대로 게임 해보고 싶어요.
Right, I definitely, I really hope that I go up against Shanghai Dragons because they have players that I was playing with as teammates, such as Fate and Lee Jae-gon. So I want to sort of see them as my opponents and play against them in the May Melee tournament. All right, I have one last question. I don't know if you know this, but before the Melee matches, there's like a fun little game. I heard that Yaki is going to do a 1v1 Pharaoh match against Sideshow. Who do you think is going to win? Actually, before I ask this, do you know who Sideshow is? 강남진? 혹시 강남진 선수 사이드쇼라는 분 아시나요?
사이드쇼가 누구예요?
Alright, who is Sideshow? Alright, I'm not gonna ask that question. Alright, everybody. 강남진, thank you so much for your interview.
Bye-bye.
And good luck in the May Melee, and we'll see you next time. Alright, let's head back to the desk.
Thank you so much, Danny Lim. Thank you so much, Gangnam Jin. Congratulations, of course, to the entirety of the Florida Mayhem. Yeah, who is Sideshow? Or what is Sideshow?
Some guy.
Yeah, just some dude.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how high he is in the standings here. That's what's up. Speaking of standings, let's take a look at the Western Region knockout bracket. The Mayhem advances, and that means with that win, they now officially punched their tickets to Hawaii for the Mayhem tournament. Oh, it's kind of cuter when you say it, actually. You should.
Hawaii.
Hawaii. I think that's the correct way of pronouncing it. I'm really trying hard to pronounce names correctly and locations correctly. And if I ever get it wrong, I'm sorry, I apologize. But I am trying my best here. Weird flex, speaking the 6th language, so there's that. But yeah, what a wild day. What a wild day this has been. And I want to talk about the match at hand. I want to talk about what just went down. I don't know what Florida Mayhem had for breakfast, but they've just been go, 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 go. Like, it's been working out for them, Costa.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting because it's just their day, and I think OG is one of those people that embodies just like having a great day, and he had another great series against the Washington Justice, going toe-to-toe with Mag. And I think you really saw the Achilles heel of the Washington Justice come out in this match. Obviously phenomenal in the Winston play, but when they have to play this brawl, it is still a massive thing. They just couldn't compete with the Florida Mayhem. And it was, even on the Winston comps, they were just getting edged out. This was so close. Like this 3K pulse bomb that we're about to see by Decay, keeping them in this map as well for Volskaya. It was so back and forth. You do need to give credit to the Washington Justice. As much as they were the favorites, they fought tooth and nail, but Florida Mayhem are they're just having a day. So you just got to give it to them at this point.
Also, I would add as well that I think it's so impressive with the Florida Mayhem that you can have different players step up in different moments, because going back earlier in the day, well, we talked a lot about how Yaki was popping up on the Echo and how he was doing work on Tracer and really impressive for the Florida Mayhem. Well, now we have different players stepping up. OG is still having a great series, but BQB, man, he was so impressive. His Ashe play, especially on Dorado there to close the series out, so impressive, always managing to find picks early on, or just be oppressive and find some damage onto Max, who has to peel back. Really overwhelming stuff to deal with from the side of Washington Justice. So impressive from the Florida Mayhem that they're so versatile still. We haven't even mentioned Gangnam Jin, who Dan interviewed. Like Gangnam Jin is one of the best flex supports in the game. So very impressive from the Florida Mayhem. I believe it was Mitch and Matt who talked about it before the game as well, that sometimes it always seems like Florida Mayhem is the dark horse, and they continue to be so, but still a great performance from them.
I just want to quickly bring up here the graphic we're just showing. OG tweeted right after the match, GG Washington Justice, I hope Dallas Fuel gonna make it and I can meet Tasmo and Fuel Wolf.
Bit of a grudge match.
I
think they're friends, but still a grudge match.
Yeah, that's probably in good fun, but also a bit of a grudge match, and I'm living for that stuff, all right? Yeah, indeed, Dallas Fuel, they will be going up against the Houston Outlaws in just a little bit. So, you know, let's set this one up, because it is crunch time, presented by Cheesy Grooves for both of these teams. This time we have the battle for Texas. Cueing you guys, no yeehaws, nothing, really?
Yeehaw!
Oh, I don't know, man. You kind of dropped it there, but this is Battle for Texas Tournament Edition. Ooh. It's different. It changes everything. Actually changes everything. And this time Dallas Fuel will have even more of a grudge, because they did face off against each other in the very opening match of the season. But that's been 3 weeks ago, and that's quite some time. So how did they get it done, the Houston Outlaws, which won that bout? How did they get it done, and what has changed in the meanwhile? Reinforce.
Well, that was when we saw the Houston Outlaws do such a great job at peeling back. Remember, they play a lot of this Reiner composition, but with the Sigma, so they like to disengage from the battle. So they draw Dallas Fuel in, and then they capitalize on that dive, and they counter dive the Dallas Fuel. So that's really impressive, and I think that's more of what we'll see today. Django and Piggy does such a great job at controlling the positioning of the entire team for the Houston Outlaws. So I think the key to victory here for the Houston Outlaws is really just enabling Dallas Fuel to dive, but then counter diving and capitalizing on the fact that you know they are going to come in, you know that Fearless is going to play the Winston, he's going to drop in and try to engage. Well, then you can punish him. You know what you have coming against you. So that will be the key once more for the Houston Outlaws. You beat the Dallas Fuel again, and maybe they can do it once more here today.
Let's quickly take a look at this power ranking by IBM. Top 20 tanks. What are we making out of that? Surprises?
I think it's pretty on point. I do love the Johnny just punish Fearless. Everyone's tried. No one has succeeded thus far. So it'll be interesting to see if the Houston Outlaws can do it again, see if Fearless has learned from that. But you see them at 13 and 14. But Piggy and Django, 1 and 2. That's what they have to beat. So it'll be interesting to see if the Houston Outlaws can keep this run going. And I can't believe I'm saying this, I actually think Houston and Dallas are the two best teams in the North American region right now. So this is going to be a clash of the Titans.
Oof.
How things change, right?
Like, this is just like when I was on Dallas, two of the best teams.
Yeah,
Dallas versus Houston.
Almost. Yeah, I mean, they're just missing their star support player since he's now on the desk. Jokes on you, Dallas.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Either way, it is time for predictions, and also prediction standing, because, right, we were split on the match before, and that means that, unfortunately, I'm not all alone on top anymore. Costa and Danny are catching up. Reinforce. Yeah, reinforce. Anyway, moving on to the predictions for this next match coming up, because I think once again we might not be on the same page. Let's start with you, Reinforce. Who do you have for this match?
Doesn't matter. Like, I don't even. I don't really know. With this one, you know, Dallas Fuel, they just had a great series, really played well, but San Francisco Shock, they weren't playing great Overwatch, and I think Dallas Fuel looked really good with that in mind. So I'm actually going with the Houston Outlaws in this one. I've been really thoroughly impressed with the Houston Outlaws play the past 4 matches, and I think against a better opponent, Dallas Fuel will struggle a little bit. Houston Outlaws will not underestimate what they've accomplished so far this season.
Ooh, I'm going the other way. I'm riding the wave. Just like I did with the Mayhem, I'm riding the Dallas Fuel wave. I think there is actually a significant difference between these two teams when we saw them earlier. I think Dallas has found their identity of how they want to play the game now that they don't have that hit scan. I think they're playing better than last time they met. I think Dallas is going to get this one.
I am going to go the same way as Custa and go with Dallas Fuel. You know, they did lose to
you
Houston
guys,
Outlaws,
stop
right?
it.
hey, let's get the hand. This right.
All right, round 2. Sorry, I got you last time.
All right. Okay.
Yeah,
no. They did lose to Houston Outlaws, but like, I feel like they're gonna go hard for that revenge. And judging from how they played against San Francisco Shock, they 3-0'd the Shock, and Houston didn't. So objectively speaking, I feel like, you know, Dallas might have the upper hand.
Right, so I hate this part. This is the worst. I'm going to Houston Outlaws. No, I can't. I think I don't even know what I'm thinking anymore, because part of me wanted to flip-flop right before we went into this segment, but I was like, no, I'm going to stick with my initial predictions. So, not reinforce, what have we done? Okay, we're both not really sold on the Outlaws, but for the sake of an argument, we're going with it anyway. So again, a 50-50 split here. So let's see, maybe our caster desk can tip it one or another way. Mr. X and Uber, who you have for that series? I know, me too.
This is close, and we haven't outside of Chengdu, it's been the higher seeds who have won, right? We've had you know, they Shanghai beat Philly. We just had the 4 seed beat the 1 seed. Dallas looks so good today against the Shock. I kind of want to lean Dallas,
but that's recency bias too, right? Because we just saw them dominate.
Well, also, I mean,
talk your talk, Queen. Actually, recency bias.
Dallas versus Houston was a close game in the Battle of Texas earlier on, and they also had a close game against the Shock, the Houston Outlaws. So it's not like they've kind of rolled through. They've had a tough schedule, and they're able to get through it. But still, Dallas seems to really be figuring out how to play without, you know, the hit scan player, which throws a lot of other teams off.
I mean, Dallas just beat the Fuel. Do they have any energy left for the Outlaws? That's my question. I think the Outlaws look really good. They had like an easier schedule, I think, over the last couple of weeks, right? But they did have to start the season. They had to go straight up again. It's not just the Dallas Fuel is going to get improved over the last few weeks, right? I think the Outlaws have had some time as well to probably think about some of these matchups now after their preparation. So I think we're still split 3-3 because I think Outlaws win.
Oh,
there you go.
Wow.
Oh my God. It's so annoying that it could be a close matchup. All right, you guys, we'll catch up with you guys later after this one. It's time for time to delve further into this Root and Toot and Texas Showdown, Matt. We are blessed to have had this Texas Showdown happen twice in the same month. And now the stakes are higher than ever because the winner obviously goes to Hawaii.
Yeah, this is the most important Battle of Texas we've seen, right? The winner of this goes to our final 4 of the May Melee, and it's a doozy because the Dallas Fuel seem to be a team that is kind of hitting their stride, right? They play a play style that a lot of other teams don't because of the situation that they have in terms of, you know, XC retiring, not having that, you know, McCree player, long range hit scan. But Fearless has been an absolute beast. He has been on fire. I think, you know, personally, if you were to like say like there's an MVP of the tournament thus far for the West, I would potentially say it is Fearless. He's been that good. Nothing surprising here with the Dallas Fuel roster to kick things off. They were doing a lot of subs with like Jexay and Fielder and Repel. It seems like at least for now though, you've seen Jexay and Fielder in the good amount of the time.
Yeah, they might be settling a little bit more on that. Here are your power rankings with IBM Watson coming into this week. And you can see this team. I mean, you can see how they're ranked. Sparkle and Doha very close there. They're in the top 20. Fearless is at 13, which is kind of wild to us, right? I feel like maybe if they beat the Outlaws in week 1, that looks a little bit differently, right? But, it's more than just the eye test that sort of makes us feel like Fearless is so dominant. The numbers that he is putting up are actually quite ridiculous. And, both of these teams dealt with the San Francisco Shock. A team that still is definitely considered to be very high caliber, despite the fact that my fans now think I hate them because I tweeted something speculative about their era being over. But, both Fearless and Janggu handed fat L's to the front line of the San Francisco Shock, which makes, this clash so much more exciting here.
Yeah, no, we see the Houston Outlaws starting lineup. Dante, good to see him back in the starting lineup. Had to sit the last game. KSF did come in, play great for Dante, but Dante, one of the more important pieces to this Houston Outlaws lineup. And the tank line has just been unreal. You see Janggu and Piggy, number 2 and number 1 in terms of our IBM Watson power rankings. Crimzo up there high.
The numbers don't lie, Matt.
This is you look at the power rankings, they are all up near the top. Obviously valuing the wins that the Houston Outlaws have put on the board. I'm going to say something that may be a little bit crazy.
Okay.
I bet you the Outlaws, this is going to sound weird. I almost think that they would have rather seen the Shock here than the Fuel. For the standpoint of, you know what the Shock is going to play pretty consistently map to map. You know the subs they're going to make, you know what they're going to play, they want to play the rush, they're willing to match you in that, and you've already beat them in it, and you think maybe that you've kind of gotten enough footage and they've had some other close games to Shock that you would have been able to figure something out and use it to your advantage. The Fuel come in and it's just an absolute wild card. They come out with Sparkle on a Genji, then he's on Doomfist.
They're playing Orisa Sigma Genji, whatever, man.
And nobody else is playing this. So you can't even practice against another team that can throw these types of looks at you. You have to just kind of come up with the solutions on the fly, which I think is much scarier to a team in the situation that the Outlaws were in, because you're waiting for a team to come through. You'd much rather deal with the known quantity than whatever the Dallas Fuel decide to do.
You liked it so much the first time we gave you another one. That's right, we're running back the Texas Showdown here with a twist. The winner will be one of the 2 teams sent by the Western region to represent it as they go head-to-head in the May Melee. That is a big honor and a big deal in a region as stacked as this Western one is. Scott said it on the desk. He said the Dallas Fuel are not the same team they were in week 1, Matt. Let's now gauge how they've evolved.
In week 1, this goes to game 5. It's not like it was an absolute blowout in the week 1. And this map Busan was played in that week 1 matchup, and it goes to the 3rd point. Houston Outlaws end up taking it, but still was a very close game. And I agree with Scott, because the Dallas Fuel, this is the first game of the season for both of these teams, this Battle of Texas. The Dallas Fuel were coming in with, Exy retiring a few days before. They didn't really have an opportunity to kind of reset everything, figure out what they're going to do. So they come out with Tracer Sombra Dive to kick things off.
This is such an anti-flanker setup, Matt. Look at the Torb.
Yeah, Dante on the Torb. Torb, this is not your traditional comp. Torb, Tracer, Ball, Zarya. Very odd composition here for the Houston Outlaws early on.
This is how you anti-strat the Dallas Fuel, right? Okay, so what is susceptible to long-range hit scan? Torbjorn. What is very good against low-health flankers that need to get out with mobility? Torbjorn. This could be difficult for the Dallas Fuel to deal with here, but they take the point early and they get rid of Crimzo. Not enough time ready for Dante to get value from the Torb, and Sparkle just slaps him around the chops.
It's the dive has been so good for the Dallas Fuel, so coordinated. They're able to push them back. The Torbjorn, not enough in terms of the anti-dive, anti-flank coming in, as they'll immediately play the Echo, where this is where Dante should be able to dominate, right? Up in the sky on a hero like the Echo. No answer for it on the other side.
Happy, looks pleased to be on the Tracer. Pretty darn decent looks from him over the last few weeks, but it's definitely Sparkle who shone in that previous fight. Here's a coalescence here from the Dallas Fuel. They want to make as much use of it as possible, and they deliver it. Airmail, FedEx to Piggy's face, and they remove the Zarya first. The rest of the Outlaws crumble. And Dallas played his composition which is kind of the antithesis to Echo anyway. It wants to end the fight quickly. Echo would like to spend some time over a prolonged fight and work down a tank with focusing beam. Outlaws
And you
weren't
just
given an
end up
option to do
using
that.
you just end up using the coalescence there for the Dallas Fuel. You're gonna come back in this next fight, self-destruct, sound barrier, EMP. You have enough. You have an opportunity to just pop this EMP and then just cycle ultimates and win this first point.
Happy has a pulse bomb. The Deep is in the way, annoyingly. He can just chip the paintwork a little bit. The pulse bomb does a lot more. Oh, they catch the backline. Wow, Doha. I mean, he was flying Emirates trying to get that EMP, but it works. Both Juby and Crimzo are caught by that one, and another fight. One off the back of that. Guess what, Matt? They're starting to cycle some ultimates here. Fearless has a primal.
And like you said, the Dallas Fuel, they know they're going to finish these fights so quick that when they dive in, the Outlaws have a few players who go back to the point to try and draw them back. They're not even worried about it. So much mobility for the Dallas Fuel lineup. They know they're going to finish these kills off quick. They just finish the players off in the back line, then go to the point, as that's going to be Sparkle taking out Happy.
Dallas Fuel now have Fearless in position to do what he does best. Juggle these fools with those flailing fists of fury. Unbidden? No way. Okay, he avoids the coalescence from his teammates, so he's not going to stay in the mech, but still, he can just resuit after the self-destruct. Crimzo's gone down now, so the Outlaws just look horrible in a long fight. But Fearless can still sneak back in. Happy loses a pulse bomb that could have relieved the pressure on them now. A duplicate to the Diva buys some time, but doesn't do a lot in terms of the personnel disparity. And the Dallas Fuel, they look good, forced into playing these sort of double flanker comps, but they make it work so well with the Moira.
And this is a composition that I think you will see. I remember when the Justice, they started to play that Hog Zarya, and it started to pick up with some other teams. I think almost like forced into necessity with the Sombra Tracer, with the Moira in the mix. I think you're going to see other teams start to incorporate that. I think that composition is very strong, as we'll see what they decide to do going into Mecha Base. Both teams right now, looks like the Outlaws potentially play a little bit more long range with the Sigma in the mix. Maybe Happy goes over and plays McCree. You know you're not going to see McCree here from the Dallas Fuel. So they'll probably stay on the sim, and they're going to play really brawly.
Now Happy goes down. Oh my! Field Sparkle as well. This fight's already over. It's absolutely over.
Ugh. It's not a great start for the Outlaws today.
How does he get the sideline against double shields? I have no idea.
I was wondering that as well, as how he's able to get that kill so fast at the start of the round with the Batiste. But I mean, you have this TP set up. It's really interesting because you want to close the gap with these sim comps and play very close quarter, obviously.
So annoying.
And you have the TP to go side to side to be able to close the gap instantly. That's a Maywall from Doha. It's not a great one, though. They don't catch anybody
early.
out.
Yeah. Okay, a TP, very creative use there on the fly by the Outlaws, and they get to Fielder. Not only do they get a great high ground position to descend from, but they catch the Batiste out. Fielder had an amplification matrix available. Now, he'll have to sit on that for the time being. Excellent little variation there from the Outlaws, and that is adaptability at its best.
Yeah, being able to use the TP to get the high ground, come behind, it's huge. It's you see Happy Junggu leading the way, just beaming them down as once the sim starts to get charged up. The only thing holding her back is she's a little squishy in terms of the DPS, but man, she can start out the damage.
In a player advantage, or like in a situation where the enemy team's trying to disengage, she will absolutely roll you. Shadow, no good. Shield was kept up there. Nicely done. Fearless didn't want to drop the shield for the extra speed because he had a Lucio speed boost anyway. He gets there, but Doha falls. And Matrix Shadow. Oh, that one is big. Happy Crimzo Piggy all caught, and Harvin follows up, gets rid of the Symmetra. Fearless wants to push forward now. The Fuel getting ready behind him. Fearless can't get outside the Gravitic Flux. The timing was perfect for Piggy to make sure the Reinhardt charge did not find its mark, but still, the Fuel are in a powerful spot now. They'll take the low ground just to get the flip.
But still, to lose your May at the start. Oh, we got a self-destruct going on through. So that's going to be the Blizzard as well. What a creative play there from Dallas.
These teleporters happening mid-fight or to start fights on a dime are so hard to track.
But this is why you would have, this is why I said what I said, where you would have been like, okay, at least with the shock, we know what we're going to see. I mean, the Dallas Fuel, they play so different and so creative compared to a lot of other teams. And It's something we talked about a little bit on Plancha leading into the season. Rush did an interview, and when he was asked about their hit scan issues, he was like, well, we just believe that we are good enough at enough things, and we can set the meta and really create it. We're not really worried about playing whatever everybody else is playing at. And that's a little bit of a risky take, right? But, I mean, they are proving that it's working out. Big fire strike there from Fearless.
There's the TP, high ground. Fielder in a good spot to get good air matrix value, though. These TPs are scary. At any moment, the enemy team could be in your pantry, eating your Wheaties. But the Outlaws now have to use an immortality field to keep Sparkle alive. Well, Sparkle goes down, rather, as Jungle was able to find that kill. It was happy that was kept alive with the immortality field, and the Outlaws now should be able to flip things back, but this has been an absolute slugfest. Crimzo can't use the Exo Boots to get away there, and the Outlaws, they come out on top just barely.
You still have Just Say Alive here, hanging out in the mid. He was contesting for a little bit, and they get some kills trickling out towards the end. Do they try and speed back in, take another quick fight? You do have that Sparkle Symmetra wall again, where you did a nice job with like the Symmetra wall, and then also a really nice shatter.
Oh my, the Gravitic Flux, good call from Jungu. We knew the fuel were going to come through the TP, so it's just a matter of wait and see and shatter, apparently. Hanbin is desuited, and Sparkle never had a chance to be in that fight. This is what puts the Outlaws now in striking distance of evening things up on Busan.
Yeah, but they do use a ton there, Mitch. They use the Shatter, they use Gravitic Flux, and they end up using their Blizzard. You're going to come back as the Dallas Fuel. You're going to have the Sound Barrier, Self-Destruct, Earth Shatter, your own Blizzard. Now Sparkle on the Doomfist is really dangerous.
It's go time. The Fuel have to get to the point, but May's making it a little bit harder, slowing the pace down to a crawl. Sound Barrier now for both sides. The Outlaws came a little later, so they have the extra durability. Shatter, Fearless. This isn't Sparta, my friend. I wish it were. Crimzo still goes down to the self-destruct, though, and that's huge for the Fuel. They find a pick. They just get one out of a haystack somehow. Jungu tries to keep the Outlaws in this fight, but now the Doomfist makes things even harder, and the Dallas Fuel are positioned to take this first map away. Juby was warded off from the point and may not have a chance to get there. He's not! He can't touch! And the Dallas Fuel start strong here. You never know what to expect from them. And this time, they start the series on the right foot.
Such a dangerous team. So many different things they can throw at you that nobody else does. Sparkle there on the Doomfist at the end comes through with a few picks, but this is a scary series for the Outlaws. Both of these teams really evenly matched. Houston, you know what they want to play. They're great at it, you know, in terms of the rush with the May compositions. They have some Hangzhou in from Happy. But man, the Dallas Fuel throws so many different things at you each map.
Dallas are here to turn the tables on their heads and upset the seedings. And the Outlaws are just trying to keep themselves on solid ground right now. Stick around, ladies and gentlemen. The second map in this battle for Texas is coming right up. These are not the